Hello friends, I welcome you in my YouTube channel Nature's Lab. In this video, we will discuss about administrative law, its introduction, nature, structure, significance, and its importance. Administrative law is law relating to administration. As Sir Ivor Jennings had said it. But when we analyze this definition, we find that not merely relating to administration, but it widens the scope of administration. Definition of administration: what is administration? What is administrative body? How law is formed? How it should be formed? It determines the organization, powers, and duties of the administrative authorities. It governs the executive and ensures that the executive treats the public fairly. It is a branch of public law. It deals with the relationship of individual with the government. It determines the organization and power structure of administrative and quasi-judicial authorities to enforce the law. The Lord Donoughmore Committee is very important in this regard. We find that in 1929, it recommended for better publication and control of subordinate legislation. The principle "king can do no wrong" was abolished, and the scope of administrative law expanded by virtue of the Crown Proceeding Act in 1947. By virtue of the Crown Proceeding Act 1947, administrative law expanded, which allowed initiating civil proceeding against the Crown as against any private person. Friends, it was a milestone step in the history of humankind, because previously it was believed that king is just incarnation of God, but by this act, that is Crown Proceeding Act 1947, the belief was abolished. It allowed civil proceeding against the Crown. So it itself marks that how much administration or administrative law is powerful. In USA, it was in 1933 that a special committee was appointed to determine how judicial control over administrative agencies could be exercised. Thereafter, in 1947, the Administrative Procedure Act was passed. In 1946, the Administrative Procedure Act was passed, which provided for judicial control over administrative actions. In India, we find in ancient India, the Mauryan and the Guptas of ancient India had a centralized administrative system. But it was with the coming of the British that administrative law in India went through a few changes. Administrative law in India attempts to regulate administrative actions by controlling delegated legislation and subjecting administrative discretionary action to judicial reviews. It also provides for the constitution of tribunals and their compositions. Friends, modern system of administrative law started with Stage Carriage Act 1861, under which the system of granting license was initiated. Then followed a series of enactments to enlarge the power of executive, like Bombay Fort Act 1879, Opium Act 1878, the Explosive Act 1884, the Arm Act 1878, the Dramatic Public Performance Act 1876. Administrative law talks about rules of law. It heralds the supremacy of law. Rules of law heralds the supremacy of law, as it is opposed to the rules of man. It is rules against arbitrariness. And this thing is very important, that rules of man is inferior, or it must be inferior. It should be inferior in front of rules of law. rules of law must keep more importance, as there is imagine that be you ever so high, the law is above you. We find that in ADM Jabalpur versus Shukla, our Supreme Court stated that Article 21 of the Constitution was suspended, and hence there is no remedy by writ under an emergency. This was corrected by 44th Amendment, and habeas corpus cannot be suspended even in emergency. The Supreme Court held that rule of law is the basic structure of the Constitution and cannot be amended under Act 368 of the Constitution. Minerva Mills case. In Minerva Mills case, we find that Supreme Court clearly made it very clear, crystal clear. It made it crystal clear that rule of law is the basic structure of Constitution. Rule of law is explained in some other cases also, like Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan, Keswanand Bharti case. In Miss Meena Seth versus State of Bihar, the Supreme Court extended rule of law to the poor, the downtrodden, the ignorant, the illiterate against exploitation. The rule of law aims at protecting the individual's his life, liberty, and property. So we find administrative law talks about rules of law. So thank you friends for watching this video.